Excellent. Okay. So welcome. I'm super excited to be here tonight. I always look forward to Friday nights because I never know how many, sometimes it ends up being like five people. Sometimes it ends up being, I've had 27 at one point. And I always have an agenda in mind to really sort of um, give a teaching, give a little bit of education to whoever is actually open to hearing it and needing to hear it at this time. And one of the really cool things about making shifts, changing the way things are, is that there's so many different ways to go about it, right? Like we hear about Joe Dispenza, we hear about Tony Robbins, we hear about Bob Proctor, we hear about Eckhart Tolle, we hear about Abraham Hicks, we hear about all of these amazing, massive educators, spiritual entities that just come down to teach us these things. And we find them all at different times in our life. And the things that I've been able to find and the things that I've been able to research are absolutely mind-blowing in that they all say the same thing in slightly different ways. And so the way we learn with this magnetic mind method that I talk about is a really powerful meditation process. I guess they don't even call it a meditation, but it is a process that allows us to sort of align all of our little parts and personalities together, all of our little, directions that we want to go, goals that we want to set, feelings that we want to feel, places that we want to be, and dial in a GPS point and really sort of set our goals, set our mind, set our whole life up to be able to succeed, to get what we want easily, quickly. And of course, we kind of look at where we are now. We create this sort of creative structure rather than stress structure. And we're able to just move forward so much easier. And if there's too much resistance, we go into this meditation. We just literally give this whole super conscious field the commands that it needs to be able to know exactly what it needs to do. And it's super happy to follow it. It just wants instructions. So there's a process that kind of will go through at the end really quickly to just kind of activate, set in everything that we're going to talk about today. But the main point of today is going to be how to sort of get into those fifth, sixth levels of consciousness really quickly by 30 breaths and taking a little break, and then 30 breaths and taking a little break. I don't know if you guys have done this before. But there's so many different kinds of breath work. So I'm going to dive in a little bit about the different kinds of breath work, because once you have that basis and understanding, it won't be so overwhelming. My goal is to sort of educate you a little bit on the types of breath work that there are so that you can decide what works best for you. And last week, we really talked about the different types of meditation and what works best for you. Well, breath work and meditation are the two things that go, as well as yoga and meditation. Aside from that, things are sort of a separate, you go do your massage, but this kind of thing, once we combine it and we take the experience, it's just next level, right? So I'm going to kind of go a little bit more into the breath work today. Breathwork is simply breathing, but consciously, and trying to reach different levels of your body, different levels of your consciousness. So when we breathe, we essentially want to do a belly breath. And what that means is expanding your belly, expanding your diaphragm, expanding your stomach when you're taking that breath in. You're actually creating space in that diaphragm. You're expanding it. Your chest is doing part of it. But what happens is when we're in a stressed situation, we tend to just shallow chest breathe. And we don't use our diaphragm. We shut it off. Our guts get hard. We get stressed, right? So the breathing is simply a way to connect to your body. Now, what I'd like to explain is the physiology of breath work is one of the only things that we can do that will instantly shift our body from that parasympathetic nervous system fight or flight mode into that sympathetic, that relaxed mode where chemicals can flow, where you can actually breathe, where you can actually think, because you're not being chased by a tiger, you're not in trauma, you're not in stress. And most people have to take a medication for that, or they have to, do something major. This is simply just taking a breath and allowing this to happen. So what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about the different kinds of breaths. Once we get that diaphragm breathing, I'm sure you guys have probably at some point been able to do diaphragmatic breathing. So this may be very repetitive for you, but what it is drawing that belly out as much as you can, like a basketball inflating. And then you kind of bring it up into the lungs and then up into the head. So you're actually trying to literally fill the whole upper cavity of your body. And Dr. Joe Dispenza kind of gets down, he goes right from the perineum. So what we're actually doing is we are taking a breath. And as we take that breath in, we expand our stomach. And then we almost, what he describes is almost picture a straw coming down through the top of your head and being very long, just going straight down into your perineum, into that skin in between the rectum and the ureter. Basically, there's just that small point in the body, and he envisions a straw being sucked up from there. Whether you're man or woman, it doesn't matter. That's why he actually uses that particular point. And he draws the air up into the head. And so you actually almost have to picture that you have to physically pull that muscle up. And so that is an incredible way to kind of get that whole body oxygenated. And when you're doing that, it allows your sort of fight or flight mode to be able to switch off, because all of a sudden now your body is going into hypoxia. It actually does think it's going to die, gives it something else to do. And it's such a vast difference. It does this sort of U-turn. And there's not much else that can manage to do that for the body. There's a few things, even just like meditation can bring you there a little bit, but this is like meditation on ayahuasca kind of thing. So Dr. Joe Dispenza is very cool. If you guys haven't done a ton of meditation with him, I love him. I listen to it all the time, just one's for sleep, one's for waking up in the morning, but he talks about this space. So you need to have this real understanding of the levels of consciousness. So I'm going to go into that a little bit as soon as I finish kind of talking about some of these different types of breath work. So that's, Dr. Joe Dispenza's. There's a ton of different clinics and stuff like that are out there that people have made up their own breath techniques. There's Breathwork Circles now that are super, super huge. There's breathwork cafes. You can end up doing, hey, Shannon, you can end up, joining a bunch of people and doing this breath work together. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. It is so amazing. It's like people put on their masks, and maybe you guys have even been to a breathwork circle, but you have, 8,500 people on Zoom. You have your masks on, you lie down and you start doing this breath work. And there's this Soma type one that has this music that I can't handle. It's like a rave type of a thing for breathing, and I just can't do it. I prefer Dr. Joe's or even Wim Hof's, where there doesn't have to be music. So what I'm going to teach you guys today is a bit of a Wim Hof breathing technique that is going to really increase the oxygen in your body. It's going to send us into a slight state of hypoxia, which will allow us to literally get into that state of consciousness on a physical level, and our mind just has to follow. So I'm going to kind of walk you guys through that. So it's just so cool. But there's a few simple things that you can do just if you're, say wanting to improve things immune wise. A lot of people, I actually have had 4 people today message me that they had COVID and they wanted to do the breathing, but they were going to wait for the replay. And I almost wanted to say, hop on, because we'll We'll do, you know, some stuff that you can actually do more from pelvic floor all the way up, filling up the lungs just to the point of not hypoxia, but allowing the immune system to kind of get triggered to respond. So it can actually be really helpful with healing. A lot of people actually use breath work for healing. People use it for things like we do with the magnetic mind, whereas we actually sort of recode some of these memories. We, you know, touch on things that need to be touched on in that day. Breath work, it's just going to sort of come up. It's not really guided. It's just literally your body. People, when they have their masks on, they're going like this, like you're supposed to encourage yourself to sort of do whatever your body feels like. So it's much like a Zion church in the Caribbean when I lived in Jamaica, and people would get the spirit would take them over and they would just start dancing and flailing and screaming and like flopping around on the floor. And it was just incredible to see these people just, you know, embrace this, and they released and they held nothing and they were so happy and they just were with the spirit, just allowing themselves to be. I mean, is it crazy? I don't know, but is that better, you know, to have a good release and a good breath work and a good cry, rather than having a midlife crisis and locking ourselves up? Because this is really how I'm going to end up leading into the conscious levels. But I'm going to give you guys a couple of little quick things just so that I don't end up running out of time to talk about them. Something like a box breath is very, very simple. So you're essentially going to breathe in for a count of 4. You're going to hold it for a count of 4. You're going to breathe out for a count of 4. And you're going to hold it for a count of 4. So this is just going to kind of get us warmed up into feeling just how it feels to kind of practice taking that belly breath. I have this Easy Air or Breathe essential oil, so I always take a drop of it. It's a blend that has like peppermint and Ravensara. It has like a eucalyptus, rosemary, all the oils that are in Vicks. And I actually take a nice deep breath with that oil first, just because it's like, you actually feel your whole sinus and lungs just kind of relax. So I'm sorry if you guys don't have this. I'll try and send you a sample before the next time so that we can do it. Shannon's probably got some somewhere. So what we're going to do is just do a box breath. So I'm just going to guide you guys through it. What we're going to do is just close your eyes so that you're not focusing on anything else. That's all. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 box breaths. So we're just going to kind of go through it, just allowing our shoulders to relax, allowing our forehead and our eyes to relax. And we're just going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And then we're going to hold it for 4 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now get that belly. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. And then you can just breathe normally. Very, very good. Now that was just a very, very simple box breath. If you can do that 3 times, your body will sort of get triggered out. You guys probably feel a little bit, you know, you just get a little tingly. You just sort of, it feels good. You know, your body just starts to, by the 3rd one, you kind of start to kind of get into it. You could probably just sort of keep doing it. But it's just, I'm just wanting to give you a little taste of some of these different sort of types of breathing exercises that are around there. And then there's things like with the Wim Hof method, what it is basically like doing 30 breaths. So it's 30 deep breaths in through the mouth and then out through the mouth. So I'm going to make you guys lie down when we do this. And then there's other things like there's holotropic, there's oh, what was it called? Oh, clarity, like all these places that have sort of made up their own. But what it comes down to is someone sort of guiding you through. You're going through a series of big, deep breaths, and then often you're doing a breath hold. So I'll explain that to you before we go right into it. So I want to talk to you guys about, the space that we can get to doing this sort of raising of consciousness. When we think of the levels of consciousness, it sort of starts almost like being in an apartment building, um, almost as though you were just living on the first floor and you didn't realize that there was any more floors. All you ever knew was this apartment. And you get really used to living in that apartment, and you're fine living in that apartment. You have stories that you tell yourself. So there's the people running around, but they're not going up. There's nothing that there must be. You have these stories, right? You don't really realize, you don't really understand that there's a whole other part out there. You're living there and you're happy until it becomes kind of uncomfortable, where you're like, I feel like there's maybe more, maybe what are all these people doing? Maybe they're not just crazy like I kind of thought they were. And you start to explore a little bit, and you kind of get to that second level of consciousness. Now, the first one is where everybody kind of ends up at one point or another. It's kind of that unconscious state, the one where, like, literally it's just kind of automatic. You're not exploring, you're not curious about things, you're not wanting to expand consciousness, you're just good, you're just totally happy with what you are. And a lot of people will be totally happy staying there, or they'll be happy enough staying there and pick a substance or pick something to sort of numb themselves from having to sort of feel the feeling of thinking there's more, right? So that tends to be sort of like the second stage of consciousness. Now, I like thinking of the stages of consciousness as this is you. This is basically the way that you are is it can be listed in a whole bunch of different states. You know what I want to do is I want to tell you guys about this. Okay, so I wasn't going to get into it too much, but I'm going to. So we feel like the world is sort of done to us. You hear people a lot of times saying they're kind of in a little bit of the victim state. Like, I don't know why this always happens to me. I don't know, or, oh, if this is going to happen to anyone, it's going to happen to me. We're just, we're just kind of stuck. We're just, you just kind of think that you're just sort of waking up in the morning and just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen to you, not really thinking you have any control over it, right? So this is first floor. The second floor is kind of when you're starting to expand it, and it's not just to you anymore. It's actually by you. So you're like, I've got some power here. If I start to think right, if I start to be the person I want to be, I'm going to end up sort of getting to that next level. And the thing is this is where a lot of people get stuck, because we start setting goals and we start setting, I've got to do this, and then we don't do it, and then we have this shame involved for not doing it, and then we're hard on ourselves, and we're sort of focusing still on those stories, those things that sort of got us, into that first floor structure, right? We got to sort of start looking outside the box a little bit, because it just doesn't work that way anymore. I want to live on the second floor, but if I'm still thinking first floor and I'm still kind of hanging out on the first floor, how much can I really have power over that? It's about thoughts. It's about sort of thinking, oh gosh, if I think the wrong thing, something bad's going to happen. Thinking that we have that much control over something, almost like if you were going to throw a plastic bottle into the ocean and think that that's going to change the whole ocean. Well, it's not. It's going to, maybe, a little bit out there, but it's really going to affect where that bottle is floating and how that water around it is floating, and, whether it gets stuck on something is floating in the water, but it's just there. And really that's just what we are in this whole experience. So we can control certain things up to a point, But it's not with the thoughts. The thoughts are what tends to sort of get us stuck. This is where we break into that third floor. So it's not life is just by me anymore. Now we're actually kind of getting into the point where we have control, but we're actually kind of getting curious. So this is where life starts happening to you, where you start noticing these things, that life isn't just random sets of events. It's actually like this well played orchestra that's just sort of been tuning, and you can finally start to sort of see this third floor and this, what else is outside, and like you have this whole new viewpoint from the third floor. You're kind of in this curious stage. You're not just believing old stories anymore. You're tired of being the victim. You start to move away from feeling like the victim, and you start to feel like a curious kid again, and like excited, and start to get these amazing feelings when you start to have these experiences. And then when you start to think about these experiences in a way that you can actually feel these experiences by actually going there, by actually going to that fourth floor and fifth floor, and just seeing what's out there, and opening your mind to actually having those experiences, and just literally getting up and being kind of excited to see what's going to be on the sixth floor today. Maybe it's an ever-changing thing. Maybe it is not just this random thing, but this story that is already kind of set up. It's just a matter of you coming back home to yourself to be able to figure out not even figure out, but to figure out how to let go and just allow this to happen, and not try and control it anymore. Try and pick the little things, the goals that will really kind of get you to the feelings that you want to feel. Like, if you're really feeling like, health is one of the main things that's being neglected, well, then let's look at those next little things we need to do to kind of get into that state. Or if we want to have a relationship that we just really are feeling love and happiness and security, and like not having to worry about anything, then that's what we have to start feeling. Like you just literally have to feel it, and sort of open yourself up, right? It sounds so much easier than it is. And the reason that it can be so tough is because we're set up in this problem structure. Everything is always about fixing ourselves, right? The moment happens in this third to fourth floor, where we enter the wizard's gate, we call it in the magnetic mind. But what other people call it is a bit of an enlightening, or an awakening, or a resetting, rebirthing even. And this kind of thing can happen through breath work. A lot of people get stuck at this point because they know that they need to get somewhere. But if they're more of a type A personality, or they want it now, and they just want it now, you can actually get these feelings by allowing yourself to do some of this breath work. So for a lot of people, on a hormonal level, on a muscle memory level, on a brainwave level, on a cardiovascular level, all of these things are affected by the breath work. The breath is truly what is, giving ourselves life. And when we get into the breath work, what we do is we take 30 big breaths. We end up exhaling after the last nice deep inhale, and we hold it. And we hold it for as long as we can. We hold it for, until you really feel your body like going, okay, you're going to have to breathe. And then we just push it, just like a second longer or two. And it's amazing the power that we have. There's people that hold their breath for 2.5 minutes without a problem. It's absolutely incredible. Especially when you're starting, 30 seconds, 45 seconds is great. You can stop basically the hold whenever you want to. And how you stop it is by inhaling and then holding it for 10 to 15 seconds again, and then just breathing normally for a few minutes or for a few seconds. And then when you're ready, you get right back into those 30 breaths. And we do about 3 rounds of that. I'll see how much time we have. We'll do at least 2 rounds. If you guys are up for it, I'd love to give it a try, because I know for most of the people that I'll end up sending the replay to, and for some of the groups that I have on, they've done some of this work with me before, so they'll be able to just kind of hop on. But I want you guys to just do it at your comfort level. You know, sometimes we're already going, I don't know if I can do this. We're a little bit resistant. It's a lot to kind of take in all at once. I don't want to throw a whole bunch of things at you, but the levels of consciousness are something that is understood in so many different ways. This is just another way to sort of understand, describe, and know how to tap into right away. And when you go forward doing any kind of meditation work, any kind of breath work, you'll remember just some of the things that I was saying that will kind of resonate with you, and you'll just have a little bit more of an understanding going in. Because when you look at the different kinds of breath work that people will be sort of gravitating towards, it's often taking the 30 big breaths, which is why we're going to do this. But they're often doing it for, you know, big reasons. Like they're actually doing it on a healing journey where they do this every day. And so I invite you to practice something like this, bring it into your own sort of experience. Wim Hof, it's spelled WIM HOFF, and he has a free app. You just download the Wim Hof app, and it's like one of the best apps I've ever downloaded. It has, you can take his voice off, you can put it on. I'll actually will use his little breathing exercise because it's great. It has the timer on there. It has, so when you start to hold, you basically just push the button and it times it, and then you do. And he doesn't have you to, I have you take a few breaths in between. He doesn't. He just goes right back into it. But I find, especially on a beginner type webinar, I tend to just kind of take it easy on people and allow them to ease into this a bit so that it's not too much. It kind of gives you that second in between to kind of reset your thoughts again. So he has a great app for it. I mean, meditation apps are all over the place, but this is just going to connect some of the dots that you would have already kind of experienced as well in talking about it. So when we end up getting into that fourth level, that's where we're basically where we're shifting to life happens for you. So you're starting to understand that things were already kind of always laid out. You're starting to understand that there maybe were some missed opportunities, and that you would probably change things moving forward. And so this is where we start doing that. This is where we start exploring the things that may have been kind of keeping us back, or maybe some of these stories that we tell ourselves that aren't even true, you know, some of these things that we think like, oh, I have to be perfect before I go on camera and try and help anyone, or I have to be, you know, I have to take this next course before I'm actually totally certified in all the breath works so that I can, you know, there's so many different things that we can do to kind of look at what we need to really kind of stay focused on to get where we really want to go. And we start to recognize those important things. And if we don't, we can actually stop, meditate, connect to ourselves, do some breath work, and just simply ask ourselves a question like, what is the most important thing I need to do right now? We don't need a psychic. We don't need cards. We just need to slow down and actually stop for a moment and listen to what our inner voice is trying to say, instead of ignoring it like we've been told all our life. So there's, you know, little bits of intuition that can happen. You can feel it on, you'll feel twitches on one side of the body or the other. I find it's usually, for me, it's usually right, and for yes, and left for no. And or I start, you may see me just kind of moving back and forth. It's just being actually connected to the field. A lot of people, I have read about doing the same thing, and it kind of just reinforced that I wasn't crazy, that we all actually have just these little signs from ourselves if we're listening. That's what muscle testing is all about. Where if it's a strong yes, then you can't pull it apart, or no, you can't. So you ask your body basically to show you a yes. And for me, as soon as I even say that, I just feel my body just rock forward a little bit. It's just how I kind of know I'm connected when I'm doing meditations and stuff like that. So it's kind of neat. And the more you practice it, the more the muscle gets strong and the more it starts to happen. Just like practicing conscious living, not unconscious, right? The unconscious is the one that's just, it's made to keep us safe. And truly, it's like that movie Inside Out, where the kids have all these little characters that represent emotions. And I don't think this one's in there, but they need an emotion of the unconscious where it thinks you're going to die at everything that you do, right? Everything that you do is new and it's scary and you're going to die. It's not just like angry. It's like, you're going to die. It really thinks that you're going to. So it's trying to keep you safe. And so we kind of, we allowed ourselves to thank those parts of us and just look at how strong that part is. And maybe, how can we help let it help us? Like for me, that part, I was like, well, maybe I could listen to it when it says, put your seatbelt on before you, or, fill that tire or look at that tire, or, little things. Just those little voices, those little instructions that we need to kind of listen to, that we don't take the opportunity to sometimes. So that's number 4. Number 5 is when life is happening through you. So this is basically when you're really showing up. You are like, life is speaking to you at all moments. Like I feel like I live in 3, 4 all the time. It's when I actually am doing this work that I'm in 5, 6, and I'm loving it. But 6 is still sort of, even after years of doing meditation and work with just conscious education and all this kind of stuff, it's still, sometimes the monkey mind is really going and it's hard to shut it out. So something like these are really nice to just mix it up once in a while and just allow yourself to go to, so, a breathwork ceremony or something that you can actually let yourself go, let yourself just release, let yourself, you're feeling like anxious and you need to, maybe you can't go to the gym, maybe you can't. There's actually a fun one on Eventbrite, even Jennifer, with M. Hollis, her name is. She does one that she just actually plays the Soma ones, but it's fun. She has like 100 people, and when I first started going to them a while ago, I would just kind of even just watch as people were just going into these almost trance-like situations where they were just like, there was one woman that just flailed and rocked for like it was a 2-hour session. It was intense, and then everybody shared for an hour after. It was like a half a day. And it was really cool, but it's not for everybody. That could kind of freak people out. So I'm giving you guys some kind of down home tools that you can help, even your friends and family with, being able to just share something like this. Like what a gift to be able to share how you have this built-in free mechanism to shut your nervous system into actually repairing itself. When we go to sleep at night, everything can sort of shut off so that the body can heal and regenerate. That's when our hair grows, that's when our nails grow, that's when everything can kind of happen. That's even when our brain will regenerate, right? If you're not sleeping, you're not healing, you're not losing weight, your body just won't do stuff if you're not sleeping. So this is kind of like a little biohack to get these things happening really, really quickly, because as we do that, our body starts to create these proteins and these, sorry, I talk with my hands a lot, these proteins and these neurochemical pathways to allow this to happen even easier. And it wires us up to be able to just fire into there. So it gets to the point where for me, I just start taking a couple of breaths, or I even just open up my Wim Hof app and I get that feeling right away. My body's already sort of producing those proteins to allow it to relax, to allow it to get into that state. And I mean, there's renowned things that have happened from this. I mean, people saying that, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, again, he healed his back within 12 weeks just by doing this very same sort of technique, where he talks, a lot about just like literally being in that space, because he's in that space, like he's at such a level that I feel like for some people, it may not, I even see on his meditation sites and stuff, sometimes people are like, what is this space he means? Like, I don't get the space. And if you're not in that 6th level of consciousness, you're just, you're not really going to quite get it yet, And so this is basically life is pretty much always safe. It's always mostly likable. Things just are sort of flowing. Not that you don't have stuff happen, because you do, but you're in such an uncharged place. You're kind of like, oof, you look at things really, really differently. Kind of like how when people go out, they really don't care how, like if they really don't care, when they're really in that state of consciousness, they don't care how they dress. They don't care. They're just them. They just truly, it really doesn't bother them. Like they get slandered all the time. It really doesn't bother them. They can get to that state. They have that much of an ability to just kind of disconnect from all of the emotion and all the problem of things and just stay in their creation. And they do. It is quite amazing. So that is basically when life is happening through you. The sixth level of consciousness is what we say when life is you. So you are no longer separate. When you jump into a meditation, you can be in that space. You know exactly where your space in that space is. For me, I'm going to take you guys on a little meditation where we're going to grow big, and we're going to go sort of, universal. And one way to do this is simply by closing your eyes. And if you guys close your eyes right now, just for a moment, what you'll see is usually there's little stars or little sparkles. If you just keep your eyes closed, it's not totally dark, right? There's little sparkly. So you look for those sparkles and look at the sparkles. Just the little, there's usually little lines or little dots or little, it might not be sparkly. Mine are always sparkly, little dots. And then you're going to look past that. You're going to look way past that. You're just going to sort of spread out your vision a little bit. And that's the space right there. And that is where you can connect to. In that state, you're literally one with everything. And when we do that breath work, it's going to feel much like that, where it's very spacious. And you're just looking beyond, just feeling it grow, just feeling it get super huge. Outside of your house, outside of your room, outside of your yard, outside of your town, your city. And you're not even a body, you're just growing in energy. You're just growing, and you're just moving further and further away, up, where you're now looking down on it like a bird, but getting further away, and just imagine that this is somewhat that state when you can feel it, where you're not just thinking about it, but you can actually feel it. And I know Chris and Shannon, I probably got you there. Hopefully, Jennifer, you could sort of feel that, even if it was just for a glimmer before anything kind of popped in. And so we're going to end up doing a little bit of a meditation, but I want to do this breathing exercise. Are you guys up for this? Is this are you able to lay down for just a couple of minutes, sort of close to where you are, so that you could hear me? Put a pillow under your head. And I'm just going to explain this while you guys just kind of get yourselves comfortable. If you happen to have an eye mask, absolutely grab it if it's not, super far or anything like that. If you don't have one, it's totally fine. We're just going to be closing our eyes anyways. The eye mask makes it very dark. And if I'm doing a breathwork circle, I always want to have people having the eye masks on, just because you're tempted to just kind of look and see what people are doing, and you can get away from doing the work on yourself. So this allows you to just literally kind of go and connect in with yourself. So again, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking 30 breaths, and these aren't going to be through your nose this time. It's going to be through your mouth. You're going to be breathing in and out. And they're good, hard breaths like that. And what you're doing is you're going belly, chest, head. So when I breathe in, I actually expand the belly first, chest, head. And I can feel the air kind of sort of fill them at different parts. And I want you guys to just practice this. Just practice using the belly then the chest, then the head. And all that means is you're just feeling that air push up into the head. Whew. I love that. And you're just literally breathing in through the mouth and out through the mouth. Okay. And when I say hold, you're going to be taking the nice deep breath out. And what we're going to do, I'll warn you when it's the last breath, we're going to take a nice last deep breath in, and we're going to breathe out, and we're just going to hold it for as long as we can. And when you are ready to breathe in, the recovery breath is just breathing in as deep as you can and holding it for 10 to 15 seconds. And then you're going to breathe normal, and then we'll all catch up, and then we'll start again. Okay. Are you guys ready for this? Throw a 1 in the chat if you're ready to do a little breathing exercise with me. Does it sound easy enough that we can? Oh, I have you lying down. I'm like, yeah, sorry, guys. Like, go lie down. If you don't answer me, I know you're ready. Perfect. Great, Jennifer. Thank you. Awesome. So we're going to be lying down. We are going to be just relaxing, and we are just going to feel our bodies. We're just going to allow our bodies to just feel everything, making sure, none of our muscles are really clenched. None of our muscles are tight. And I am going to start with some breathing. You'll hear a gong when it's time to take that deep breath out and just hold it. So you will hear him breathing in the background, and you will hear me guiding. And we're going to do 30 breaths, so you don't have to worry about counting. And I will let you know the next thing to do. So when you're ready, we're just going to be breathing in through the mouth and out through the mouth, through the belly, chest, and head every time. But we're going to get more fluid. So as you guys, it might be a little bit more, you might miss a breath or two at first, just trying to get the belly, chest, head, but it's literally going to be okay. And you're just going to literally feel it like a circle, like belly, breath, head, or belly, chest, head. Okay. So here we go. 30 deep breaths. Go for it. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Belly, chest, head. Belly, chest, head. Really feel that breath. Fill it all up. Good. Halfway there. Awesome. Just 8 more breaths. 5 more. Two more. Nice deep breath in. Exhale. And hold. And you're just going to hold this for as long as you can. And if you need to stop, You're going to take a nice deep breath in and hold it for 10 seconds, 15 seconds even. Holding if you can. Awesome job. When you're ready, sorry, I didn't mean to finish it. And you need to, you're going to take your deep breath in. And you're going to hold it. Good job. Sorry. Whew. How you guys doing there? I want to make sure you're okay. Just take a couple breaths, just relaxing. I'm hoping you enjoyed that. I'm hoping that I didn't cut it off too early. I want you to just kind of keep going if you could. And when you're doing that recovery breath, you're going to just basically breathe in and then just hold it for 10 or 15 seconds. And that's it. Okay. You guys ready for another round? I think that we are. This is it's a little awkward at first. It's a little difficult, and especially using the app and it's on a group where I'm not in person. I loved doing this in person when I could, but you know, for now we just do it when we can. So we are going to do one more round. We are going to, when you are ready, start taking some nice deep breaths in. We're going to fill up that belly, that chest, that head. And when you're breathing out, I want you to imagine your belly deflating a little bit and just releasing. I want you to think more about now the breathing out part of this. I want you to, when you breathe in, really breathe out. Really let that breath come out. If you're ready, we're going to go into another 30 breaths. Breathing in. Really breathing out. You guys are doing awesome. Breathing in. Make sure it's getting your belly filled right up when you breathe in. Into your head. Five more breaths, guys. You're doing awesome. One more deep breath, breathing in and out and holding. Holding for as long as you can. That's a whole minute, guys. If you were able to make it that long, that's amazing. I'm super proud of you. Keep going. If you can't, that recovery breath is again breathing in and holding for 10 or 15 seconds. Oof, I love doing this. I love doing this. How are you guys holding up? Are you doing okay? Now, if everybody is okay with it, I would like to go ahead and just guide you through a really quick little meditation, just because I could do that forever. But I want you guys to, if you can, if you have room for that Wim Hof app, sorry, go ahead and absolutely download it so that you can just do this all the time. But I want to bring you through a little bit of a meditation with using this and the magnetic mind, and just allowing yourself to sort of go into a conscious space and allowing anything that maybe got brought into the active experience with some of the breathing, some of the things that might have come up. Sometimes little thoughts come up, little things start to try and come in to distract you, to take you away. Sometimes fears come up. Sometimes, not that we were focusing on anything in particular, but sometimes there are things that just will come up with doing a little bit of a meditation after this. So I'm going to encourage you guys to just take keep continuing to take those nice deep breaths. And I'm going to show you a way to kind of combine this beautiful breath work and doing a little bit of a meditation after, to just sort of allow the mind to really go into that space that we're opening up, because this is a really quick way to jump to level 5 and 6 without having to do all of the work and read all of the books and do all of the things. We just have to do the breathing to get the physical aspects working with the emotional and soul and conscious and memory aspects that we're going to go into now. So in your guys' head, if you just be okay with just allowing yourselves to play full out in the sandbox and just enjoy this slight hypoxia that happens. Taking a few nice deep breaths. What I want you to do is just take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And in through the nose and out through the mouth. Right now, I'm going to ask that you take your right hand and you place your pointer finger of your right hand and your middle finger right on your third eye, or right between your eyes, right above the bridge of your nose, right in the forehead. And I'm going to have you do a little interval nostril breathing with me. And I want you to take your fingers, your thumb, put it on your right nostril, and your two last fingers, you can put them on your left nostril. So you're going to look weird like me. Pinch your nose for just a second and take it away. All we're going to be doing is basically pinching one side at a time. So right now, I want you to press your thumb on the right side of your nose, and I want you to take a nice deep inhale through your left nostril. Now pinch your nose and let your thumb go, and exhale through your nose. Now hold it. 1, 2, 3, leaving your thumb off. Inhale through that right side of the nostril. Pinch and let go of the left side and breathe out. And hold. Take your thumb off the right nostril and breathe in. Pinch and take the fingers off the left nostril and breathe out through your nostril. Hold. Take your thumb off the right nostril, breathing in. Pinch Remove the fingers off the left-hand side and breathing out. And hold. Now that's a way to sort of do a cyclical breath. And what happens is our brain gets kind of all discombobulated for just a moment, doesn't it? It's quite simple to follow once you, like I've done it so many times now, it seems very natural. Some people really struggle with getting your fingers in the right place in the first place. It's you know, step by step. You guys are in that space, so I just knew you would be able to just kind of grasp that. And if you want to try something like a different breathing technique, that's something that you can do that's really going to get things working. If you have, you know, something like even a deviated septum or sinus trouble, and then you can go the opposite way as well, just to allow the flow. But I start with the right usually, because if you look, your right nostril is often a little bit smaller than your left because you're not breathing in as much through that right side, especially if you're a right brain person. It's interesting. You'll notice that you just said we have these slightly different, so you can exercise that nostril a little bit more, and get things more unified in your field, in your body, in your physiology. It's really, really cool. The science behind this has really blown me away in the last few years. And so this is why I was so excited to share all these with you. There's so many more. There's the lion's breath too, that if you guys can look up, you just basically sit on your feet and you're taking a nice deep breath in, and then you're going and you're stretching your tongue out as far as you can. But I won't make you do anything silly like that today. We're just going to meditate for a few minutes. We're just going to go into this expansive space that our brain is going to allow us to get into right now. So I am going to guide you guys just through this very quick meditation. I'll try and be respectful of your time and not keep you here forever. I just want to enjoy this space and this field that we're all connected in. And truly, this is it. There's this, you know, we are all one. We all are all part of this galaxy. And if you guys close your eyes right now and you just, again, look for me at those little dots or those little sparkles that might be just beyond your eyelids, just beyond the stars themselves. And I want you to, in your head, just give me permission to just connect with your conscious field so that I can help all your little parts and all your little memories to just form this perfect treatment plan in the absolute perfect way to create more time, to create less pain, less struggle, and just create so much ease and flow. And we're just going to take a nice deep breath in. And I want you to imagine your body just starting to relax, every cell in your body, right from the very top of your head. Almost like this light, this expansiveness is just touching every cell from outside of your body, but you can feel it on the inside. And I just want you to imagine what it would feel like to have your hair just relaxing right now and your skin just being kissed and enveloped by light, almost like sunshine, when you get that feeling of the sun just kissing you, right where it starts to kind of absorb into your skin. And I want you to just imagine for a moment that the light is actually coming from inside of you and outside of you at the very same time. And right now, I want you to feel this orange yellow type light that's just surrounding you, almost like a lotus, and you're sort of surrounded. But these lotus petals are actually these cool flames. And these cool flames are just lighting up around you, just burning up stuff in the field that's just kind of been floating around for a little while. It's been brought up, it's been thought about, it's been these things that, you know, maybe we tell ourselves, or maybe we've heard, or maybe there are things along the lines of you know, you shouldn't have it, or you can't have it, or maybe it was little things that just touched you, but for some reason you don't even remember exactly what they are right now. And I want you to imagine anything that's just sort of floating around in this big super conscious dust field. that wants to be treated and wants to be sort of placed in this promotional sort of a role to really allow us to focus on exactly what we need to focus on. And all the garbagey stuff, all the stuff that wants to just come back in, I wanted to just be touched by these flower petal type flames, and I want them to just go to dust. The memories and the wisdoms that we need from these, we're going to thank and we're going to keep and we're going to hold true. We're going to allow those to really propel us forward. But the stuff that we don't need anymore, we're going to just literally allow that to just get touched super gently by these petals. And it doesn't burn you. It's not hot. It's almost cool when it touches your skin. And I want you to envision it as this sort of safe little lotus that you've found yourself sitting in. Just this beautiful color. It might be changing colors even as it's starting to just kind of revamp some of this structure. It's just kind of sort of sanding down some of these structures. It's just like dust just falling. I want you to just take a nice deep breath. We're just going to allow all of these things to just line up and align with feeling ease and grace and feeling true love and happiness and just feeling true gratitude. And we're going to do a massive change history on all that. And I want you to just take a nice deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Do a couple more. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And superconscious, I'd like to just ask this whole field to just bring anything else into the active experience that might need treatment today. Some of these little part personalities, some of these inner child, these protector, these controllers, these beliefs, some of the things that, just feeling like we're not good enough or we're not worth it. And just feeling that the world wants us and the world needs us and we're meant to actually be experiencing all of this. We truly are meant to be. Nothing just happens. It all happens for a reason. And just allowing that. Just being that bottle floating in the ocean, just feeling those little ripples that come off and what that bottle looks like. It could be, a really amazing bottle that has all sorts of secrets inside. It could be this totally unique bottle that needs to just actually wash up on the right shore. It could be plastic recyclable bottle. It could be anything. It could be a genie lantern. It doesn't even have to be a bottle. It could be anything you want floating in the ocean. It could be you. I want you to just take another nice deep breath. And I want you to focus now with taking the next breath in. We are going to imagine that straw that's going to come from the top of our head, and it's going to be drawing that skin from the perineum up. And I want you to feel that physically in your body. Phew, pardon me. I'm so sorry. I want you to feel that physically in your body. It's a big release. Sometimes I yawn, sometimes I sneeze, sometimes I rock. And I want you to be able to try and feel that skin pull up as you're breathing in and pulling it up, pulling all that energy up from that down that root chakra, right up into the head, right into the crown chakra when you're breathing in, okay? So we're going to practice this. We're going to take a couple of nice deep breaths. We're going to start opening up our belly. We're going to start opening up our chest. We're going to open up our head. And now this straw is going to pull, tighten up that muscle, bring it up, 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 pushing all that energy up to the head, pushing it all up, holding it up, bringing it up around the top of your head, just pushing, 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 and breathing out and release. Release all those muscles, release your glutes, release your feet, release your calves, release your back, release your shoulders. And when you're ready, we're going to take a nice deep breath in, drawing right from the perineum this time. Get that straw sucking right now. Bring it up. Open up that belly, chest, head. Pull it up, up, up. It's tight, tight, tight. Pulling it up over the head, into the head, and holding, 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 holding as long as you can. And releasing. Releasing all your muscles. Let those glutes go again if they've tightened up again. And what are your quads doing? Allow your hands to just relax. And I want you to do one more nice deep one for me, right from that root chakra. We're going to go root chakra. There we go, all the way up, filling the heart, filling that solar plexus, filling that throat chakra, filling that crown, filling that third eye, just allowing it, bringing it up, 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 and holding it, and holding it, and holding it. And when you need to, you can release. Release that perineum muscle. Release that pelvic floor, releasing it, just letting it all go, allowing it to let go. Just allowing. And super conscious, we're just going to look at any of the events that might sort of be needing treatment today, just bringing everything together to work properly, allowing ourselves to step into that feeling of being bigger and feeling our bodies just starting to rise up, starting to expand even more. I want you to picture becoming bigger than your house and looking down at it and being up, 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 expanding, looking at your whole town now, looking at your whole city, and just expanding. It doesn't matter what you look like, feel like, just expanding, just getting bigger, just rising up above the country. You can see the whole country now and all the oceans. And rising up again and going up above the universe, up into the atmosphere where you're now looking at Earth. You can still see you as a little speck there, but you can see the whole Earth right now. And you can see us, and you can see all the people that are going to watch this. We all have this unified field, and we're just, we can reach out to each other. We can actually touch, and we can be almost at the moon. We can be almost at the sun. We can just be farther and farther away. I want you to just imagine yourselves being bigger and bigger and just expanding into the universe and just feeling what it feels like to just be floating like that bottle in the water right now. Almost like you can see the little bottle floating in the water, and realizing that you are the bottle, but you're also the water. You're everything around the bottle. You're everything that brought the bottle there. You're everything that's going to bring the bottle to where it needs to go. And I want you to ask yourself, where does this bottle want to go? What kind of bottle does it want to be? Is it going to be the kind of bottle that's going to lead someone to showing them that they're a bottle in the ocean, in the water, just being? And by feeling and allowing what our body's trying to tell us right now, what is our body trying to tell us that the next thing that we need to do, most important thing that we need to do, to just really get what we want out of this new year, get what we want out of this week, this month, this 6 months, this year, this 5 years, this 10 years. Where do we really want to be? Where do we really want to go? And I want you to just feel that for a moment. We're going to create the perfect treatment plan to just get us moving towards that creative goal, that creative end result of just feeling and being safe, secure, happy, abundant, just feeling abundant. I want you to feel the abundance of all of the air, of the hugeness of this atmosphere. Maybe we're just beyond another galaxy. Maybe we can even go out further. I don't want to stop you guys. You just keep going, keep breathing. Taking a nice deep breath in, holding for a few seconds, and breathing out. We're just going to do a quick scan, quick body scan right through the body, just moving through, starting at that crown chakra, just moving through down the third eye, and down through those inner ear chakras, just maybe opening up. Maybe opening up those ears and those sinuses, just opening up that throat chakra, just feeling that expansiveness. And into that heart chakra, just allowing the tingles, allowing the light to just fill anything that's been a little bit dark or cracked or anything that's having a hard time. Just allowing that light to just heal, just moving through, allowing those petals that you're surrounded by to just touch any area of the body that's holding pain, any area of the body that's holding sickness or tension or just anything toxic, any cellular stuff that just needs letting go, just allowing that light to just move through and just allowing that flame to just take anything away that doesn't need to be there anymore, and just allowing that heart chakra, that solar plexus, that sacral plexus, and finally that root chakra to just open and grounding it down into the universe, just like roots. The feeling of being rooted into the earth and ether into the sky at the very same time is truly being in that conscious state where anything is possible. And if you're not sure what anything is, I want you to ask yourself that right now. And I want you to just invite your superconscious field to share anything else that may really help you move forward right now. Maybe it's to start doing some more breath work. Maybe it's to start a healing circle. Maybe it's just to come hang out Friday nights. And superconscious, we're just going to ask that anything else in this container today just be treated safely, creating the least amount of pain and the most amount of satisfaction, just grounding in all timelines, all matrix. Thank you. And grounding that down into the matrix of the universe as well. And just feeling that lotus just staying there with you, almost like it's your new little filter. It's going to be able to help you just stay focused. And I want, when you're breathing, I want you to feel those petals and those flames almost move in and out with your breath. We're going to go ahead and take a few nice deep breaths now. Just follow me with a nice deep breath in and hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 4, 3, 2, 1, and in. 4, 3, 2, 1, and out. 4, 3, 2, 1, and in. 4, 3, 2, 1, And now out for 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're ready, you can just wiggle toes and open your eyes, and hopefully you were able to enjoy some of that breath work and retain all of that information I just shot out at you. And there's I'll definitely have the recording of this and the replay if you guys wanted it. And Jennifer, I know the wonderful thing about Eventbrite is it sends me your emails. So if you wanted the recording, I'm happy to send that to you as well, so that you can end up watching the goofy faces I make instead of having your eyes closed, and also experience it again. And so we pick up a lot of things when we kind of go back and listen to it again. And you may find that one of those breathing techniques works out better for you than the other. You guys may enjoy trying to incorporate some of this into your morning routine. Awesome. I'm so glad you loved it. And there's so much more with the different types of meditation and the different kinds of breath work that you can do. But you guys will be somewhat experienced now going into anything. I've thought about doing a breathwork circle too once in a while. I figured I would just it's funny because I do so many different things. It's hard to see how it all works, but the breathwork is what's really been coming strong in with my, of course, my oils, but with my coaching. And I find I'm getting just huge shifts when I'm incorporating a little bit of this breath work for people to really kind of be able to allow those chemicals on that physical level to help them out a little bit at first, when we haven't been practicing that muscle, to use it a lot. So it's not just, really, really quick to jump into all the time. So if you guys want, you're more than welcome to hop off mute and share anything. I always love hearing shares, but I know I've kept you for a long time too, so I absolutely understand if you have to go. So I have a few minutes before I have to hop onto my next call. So I'd love to hear anything if you care to share. You're absolutely welcome to.
That was great.
Oh, awesome, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a great experience. Very relaxing, and
Good.
how you tied it in with the recode was really nice as well.
Nice.
I've always been breathing properly since I was a teenager. Always belly breathing
You're a
naturally.
musician, right? So you know that you've been trained.
Yeah, and a family member helped me to learn what he learned from karate, where you breathe from the stomach. And so since I was 15, I've been breathing that way. But I don't do conscious breath work that much, so it was good to do that, and I'll be able to make it part of my daily routine more.
Nice. I love it. Did it make sense with the floors and the levels of consciousness? Was that a bit of a different way of you sort of hearing it before? Have you sort of heard that analogy before?
I've heard things like that, but the way you described it, where breathing can help you skip steps and get to the higher levels, it's
Right.
a good way to look at it. Yeah.
It's not, yeah, and it's funny too, because breathing, like for me on a physical level, I always taught it because it was a way for as a massage therapist, which I did for like 25 years, it was a way for me to get people to get that oxygen into their body. They get 80% more oxygen when they're breathing through their belly, right? So for me, it was just a physical thing. But when I started to incorporate all the other stuff, it was like, wow, that actually it actually gets the vagus nerve opened up. It does all these things on a neurological level. It's mind blowing. Like I should breathe more often, and really that's what it comes down to. And those middle levels of consciousness, that's where you're curious, but that's where a lot of people kind of drop off, and they end up just kind of staying safe instead of kind of going for it and thinking that, you can be a little bit crazy and actually be one and be in that space. It's kind of fun, right? And you get some pretty
Yep.
incredible chemicals. I think it's Wim Hof. I think it's him anyways. I've taken so many trainings, but he's like, it is him too, because he's like, this is what you call getting high on your own supply, guys. Like it's all in here. He's so funny. How about you, Shannon?
I found that because I can hold my breath for a long time. So it's kind of like I'm like trying to be in time with everybody. I'm like, no, I'm still just gonna take in my breath and
Good.
just, because like when you breathe in, I'm already still breathing in when you're breathing in for your second breath. I'm like, oh, that's whatever.
And that's it. You kind of do your own thing, and I have had a lot of people on with COVID over the last couple of months too. And I'm like, just take a gentle breath in, like, don't even expand the rib cage too much. Or, if you have, say, a rib injury, we've had that too. And you just have to kind of it's really all about listening to yourself. And so for some, the guided things aren't so good, like sometimes you don't need an app. My kids respond well to the app. So that's actually why we use it more than anything. But I do like to have it just for the actual timing. You can use your iPhone too to time things if you're interested, to see how long you can hold your breath. But yeah, once you get to that point of, 2.5 minutes, you're reaching some serious hypoxia, and you can probably see God and talk to him and have a rainbow coffee with him at that point. Right?
I had my stomach twitches.
Oh, cool.
So when I hold my breath for like close to like 3 minutes or whatever, I get like little twitches in my stomach. It's almost like vibrations almost like happen in my stomach.
Yeah, it's like flutters. The diaphragm is actually like freaking out.
Kind of like, it's awesome. It's kind of like going like, yeah. So that's what ends up happening is that when it's happened, I get these little kind of impulses,
flutters
in my,
and it does really trigger some responses. Like I've seen the most amazing, like, just releases happen on these breathwork ceremonies, because people are going to this ceremony to release, right? And we build a bit of a container to kind of get to that point where it's safe, but like all sorts of stuff ends up coming up for people during these things. And for some of them I've been at, they don't set a container, so it's kind of unsafe. So anything can kind of come at you. I always make sure with my meditations, we kind of keep it on sort of like a, that safe container, that everything is going to want to come out to play, where things aren't like shutting down and freaking out. But there are ceremonies like that. So and sometimes people are into that as well, right? But the magnetic mind is really more about the gentle, the container, allowing the process to happen when you're ready, when it needs to happen, and everything just comes up that needs to. How about you, Jennifer? Did you want to unmute and share at all, or are you shy?
Yeah, that was definitely an experience that I've never felt before. So
I love it.
I liked it.
I love it. I had a feeling that I could probably just throw you into the fire with us. And it's funny with meditation and the end of, like, we call it a recode, where we kind of go in and talk to that super conscious field per se. We usually make sure you have quite a bit of education beforehand, just to kind of understand. And so, but I didn't go into bringing up lots of resistances and stuff. I just felt like I had the intention of holding a really safe space, and it was going to be more of like an energy type clearing. But the stuff that we do is crazy huge. And I have different groups that end up hopping on different, I have different nights. I do daytime groups as well. So I have basically all I do is coach all day. And so the Eventbrite that I have up right now is the one that is usually kind of like an intro session to what this is all about. But we did, there's my cat. Usually when I do the recode, the cat's around. It's so funny, and always right there.
I just discovered Eventbrite and I love it.
Isn't it the best? Yes.
Yeah, they have a lot of things that you can join.
Absolutely. And
yeah.
And they're always like, it's always meant to be the people that end up popping in. I've never had it where it didn't just like totally align. So I have a website as well. So I'll shoot you an email that has the recording and stuff when it's all uploaded, and then you can just check everything out, and we'll
okay, thank you.
And yeah, I'm here every Friday. Come on down again.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely join you again.
I love it. Well, I thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me. That was just fabulous. I want you to have a great night and a great rest of your weekend. And, explore some breath work. Look at some Dr. Joe Dispenza YouTube meditations and just, see how it feels for you. You'll have a bit more of an understanding going into some different ones. And you can sort of get lost in a Google rabbit hole of breath work. But please shoot me a message or an email if you have any questions. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Friday. Take care. Thanks again.